So I think the most important thing is to ask yourself, why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? And do the hard work of looking into yourself, maybe even your childhood, because you are a soul and you have many, many lifetimes, and you chose this life for a reason in order to evolve. So at the end of your life, you're going to look back and have feelings about everything that you did, and you're going to have to do some things over again because you didn't get the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time the lesson is, if you want to have the life that you want, you have to address your fear. Why are you afraid? And why are you so willing to let everybody else do it for you? You're looking out there for happiness. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Your happiness is in here, but you're afraid to see what's blocking you from bringing in the happiness. That's what we do forever. It never ends. If I were you, I would take all of those questions and ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, what do I need? What will make me happy? And let yourself tell you, because nobody else can tell you. All the answers that you asked, that you seek, you should ask yourself first. And trust your knowing. When you ask yourself, what brings me joy, and you feel something working with children or just being a mom, it doesn't have to be big and grandiose. It could be little things, and start with those. What makes me happy? I don't know, pouring a cup of tea, reading a book, sitting on the balcony. That's enough. And if you practice doing those things that make you happy, then the bigger things will become more easy. But you want the big things, and you're missing the little things. So the focus is currently on money. Well, if the reason why you're doing it is for money, will it still make you happy? Because nothing that you do just for money will ever make you happy. Money is a tool to put us into slavery.
Yeah.
So you have to know that whatever makes you happy is enough. And that money will come. Money will come if you're happy. But money will not come to you if you're not happy. And if you're doing something just for money and it doesn't make you happy, then you're a slave.
Yes.
Yeah, the answers are inside you, and you have this you're stuck on it's not in you. You're stuck on, it's out there and I have to find it. And which is fine, that's part of your journey, but you will suffer. You will not find what you're looking for as long as you're not looking inside here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look inside here, everything around you changes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for it out there, everything out there is going to reflect to you what you need to deal with in here. That's just the way it works. You know, and it's karma. Yeah.
And can I do something
About karma?
Yes.
Yeah, you can forgive yourself. You have to. The forgiveness stops the wheel of karma. So you either forgive yourself or forgive others, or whatever. That's why you have to look inside yourself to figure out what it is that is karmic for you. And currently it's the fear and the lack of self. It's undeveloped or underdeveloped lower chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus. As long as you're happy with other people telling you what to do or doing things for you and being dependent, then you're going to continue manifesting, being dependent,
Mm-hmm.
and not empowered. And maybe that's your journey. Maybe you should just surrender and forgive yourself for being dependent and accept it. Perhaps. But if it's not comfortable so that you don't want to accept it, then you have to look at why you have chosen this so that you can do something about it. And maybe you need to feel something, set a boundary and empower yourself. Say, I'm not going to do this. You have to know what you want because it's your will that's being done. And if you want other people to do everything for you, or you want to give your power to anyone outside yourself, then that is what you're going to create. And you have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, you have to stand up and change it.
Yes.
And that's where the fear comes in. You're afraid.
Yes.
So it's up to you. How much suffering do you need to have to experience in order to decide that you're worth it, or that, it's worth facing the fear? Yeah, but it's not real.
It's not real.
Mm-mm. Only your fear is real. But the thing you're afraid of is only, your fear. There's a saying that says the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So if you're afraid of fear, it's paralyzing. It stops you from doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you want someone else to do it for you. Because I'm too afraid, so you do it. And then you get people who do what you don't want them to do, because you're the creator of your experience. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? And if you want it, you have to make it happen. If you want it, then it's already yours. It's just a matter of you lining up with it and feeling worthy of it. It's a vibration, it's a frequency. If you want something that's out of your frequency, you have to match the frequency of it. Put yourself in the frequency of having it.
Now I can do it.
Yeah, you have to just do it. There is no try. You just do it. Yeah, it really is just do it. Decide to do it and do it. Yeah, there are no tools. It's not outside yourself. It's inside. You say, I want it. I'm going to have this. Make a vision board.
Yeah, I have.
Mm-hmm. So whatever if you should just be able to do it. If something is blocking you from doing it and you still feel like you can't do it, then you need to look at, why can't I do it? What is it that prevents me from doing what I want or having what I want? And that's what you're afraid of. That's where the fear is. You have to look at why. Why can I not just align with what I want? And then you probably have to face your fears of unworthiness and who made you feel this way, and why, the people in your life, probably when you were a child, and try to go back and remember the way they treated you. Write a book. You could write a story from the first memory you have, like, I was born and this is what I remember, and write down all, like you're writing a book. Tell your story from birth. And write down all the memories of everything you remember and everything that comes up, and you just write it down. And then you start thinking about that again, and you remember, wow, I really felt a real feeling and I never dealt with it. And so deal with it. Write it down and bring it back up.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take the time to do this. In this busy world, we don't take the time to think about our childhood and the pain that we haven't dealt with. So if you decide to write a book and you start writing from the beginning, you write your story down, then you can go back and you can capture those moments when you were hurt as a younger person than you are now in the past, and you can just feel it. Feel what you were not able to feel when it happened. Now you can feel it because you're safe, you're older, you can comfort yourself and you can deal with it, and you can tell yourself that you're okay. And you'd be surprised, because it may be extremely painful. But instead of running from the fear, you can face it and comfort yourself. And just imagine that you're how old you are now, sitting next to your younger self, and you're saying, you're being the mother that you didn't have, or the parent or the mentor, and you're saying, it's okay. You'll get through this. There's a life for you. What that person said or did was wrong. It wasn't good, and that was damaging, and you're right to feel the way that you do. And then let yourself feel it. Let yourself cry on your own shoulder and feel the pain and say, that was mad. That was not nice. And I'm mad at you, and I don't want anybody like you in my life. Because I guarantee that since that time, you've probably had many people like that in your life, and you keep repeating it. Why? Because we try to change them. We don't want it to be true, how they show us that they are. We don't want it to be true, and so we're afraid to accept it. We're afraid to see it, but it keeps repeating.
Yes. That. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's something you can do to release the karma between you two. If your mother is working on yourself, that's a blessing to you because you work on yourself too. And when it comes up, when you say, "Hey, this pain I have is from you, and I'm mad at you. I forgive you, but I need to tell you that that wasn't okay, and you hurt me, and I've been dealing with this, so now I want to forgive you, but I need you to know that that wasn't okay." So that she can integrate her part. Why did she do that? What was it that motivated her in her unconsciousness to treat you that way? So that that will heal her too. You don't have to be afraid of her rejecting you. And if she does reject you, then that's still good karma for you. Because that's her part, and you can see clearly, I don't want anything to do with you. And you can move on and forgive her in spite of her not being what you wanted her to be. You know, that's the thing that we're afraid of. We're afraid to see the truth. We want people to be the way we want them to be, but we're afraid to see the truth. So if you tell her the truth and she accepts it, then you get both of you to heal. If that's how you feel, then you don't have to do anything. However, if you say that you approached her and she won't accept what you're saying, that's information for you. You know, we hope that they will accept it and we will move on happily ever after together, but if that's not the case, then you need to pay attention when that's happening. You need to stay present in your body and see and feel safe and protect your child self and say, look, this is what did this to you. This is what did the damage that you're trying to heal. And so you have to see it for what it is and accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Accept what she is showing to you so that you can heal and forgive. Well, I think that's a sign. Yeah, so the universe is showing you that you're seeking her approval, and it's most likely it's never going to come to you.
Yes.
You'll never get it. So you have to, that's what you're afraid to give up. What's it look like if I give up on getting my mother's approval? That's what you're afraid of. Because that's the dam that's holding back all your tears and your grief from being a child and feeling so invalidated and undermined and just never getting the praise, never getting the feeling that you're good, you're worthy, you're okay. Just be yourself. That's
Yes.
what you're afraid of. You're afraid, and you have to face that. You have to accept that she wasn't able to give you that. But you chose this as a soul because you're strong enough to be okay without it. But you had to go through this as a child because that's your lesson. Because now that you're an adult and you're aware and you're seeking the answers, then you're able to deal with the answer. But you couldn't when you were a child, but that's okay. You had to have the experience. That's what we do, right? It's not okay to treat a child that way. But as a soul, we come in and we try it out to see what it's like to be treated badly by a parent who's supposed to be responsible for you. And likewise, the parent also has a child to see what it's like. Can I love enough? Can I love this child? Can I love myself enough to know that I need to deal with my stuff and not put it on my child? And do we fail? Or do we just have an experience? You know, if everything is supposed to be perfect at the end, then we fail every lifetime. We fail something, but it's not a failure, it's a lesson. We grow, and we learn, and we do it again next time. We try again, and we do better every single time. So there are no mistakes, but there are surprises and experiences and lessons, and every time we just get a little better, better and better. At least you're trying to go upward, you know? Well, you should feel good about that. And just know that whatever you do, as long as I'm trying, I'm good enough. Even if I stop trying, I'm still good enough. You just are good enough. You are worthy, you know? And I know that it's not the same as hearing those words from your mom.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, you are. And if you can believe yourself, I will hold a space for you. And you know, you'll start finding other people who will do the same. Like, we're going to hold a space for ourselves to feel good about what we're doing, just being.
Mhm.
What we're being. We're being here. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, 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 yes. Sounds is difficult.
It is difficult. But it's also not difficult. It's really not that hard. It's just a matter of changing our mind.
Mhm.
And what prevents us from doing that is the inability to feel our feelings. So that's the most important thing. You know? To get to the place where we can decide how we're going to be. You know? Our karma prevents us from being able to exercise our will. I mean, it's my will that the world be a wonderful place and happy and everybody have everything that they need.
Mhm.
But my will is only limited to what I'm doing, so I'm creating the reality that I want to see in my life. So that means I have to make myself happy. I have to do what I want to do. It's not selfish. It's really the only way to help everybody else to change everybody's reality is you do it for yourself. Because the more of us that are taking care of our own needs and dealing with our emotional and becoming more emotionally healthy, the better the world will be. You get healthy, I get healthy, they get healthy, it spreads, then everybody's healthy. Do you know what I mean? And the only responsibility you have is to me. The only responsibility I have is to me. Really. I can be a good person. I can do the right thing for myself, and that helps everybody. You know, so when it comes to doing what you want to do, you have to do what makes you happy. If making money doesn't make you happy, then you have to just accept that the money system is not conducive to being happy. So you do what makes you happy, and you'll align with money coming anyway, somehow. That's what miracles are. That's how miracles are created.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if someone is going to tell you that the good times in your life have passed, that's very pessimistic.
Yes.
It's not very loving.
Yes.
And it's not actually true. Why would they say that? Because good times come and good times go. And then they come back again and then they go. So it's a cycle. They'll be back. And also, what are good times? Because it's a perspective, you know? It's always a good time for something. And I don't mean that to be bypassing, but for the idea that something is a good time, was a good time, and now it's gone, and you have missed your chance. That's a very that's more about them. That may make them feel better about themselves. I don't think it really has anything to do with reality. That's a red flag to me.
Mm-hmm.
That if someone, I would never say that to anybody, even if I really know that it's true, because there's always a chance that you can improve it. You know, there could be a warning. Say, okay, astrologically speaking, the planets' alignment would have been a lot easier for you to do what you want to do if you had done it during this particular time. But there's another time coming around again, and that's going to be another auspicious time. You know? And if you want to learn about when these times are, then you should study astrology yourself. Do you know what I mean? If that interests you, if that makes you happy, but don't get hooked on somebody else telling you about the planets. There's tons of apps. There's so much YouTube stuff you can do, and you don't want to co-create a reality with someone who's going to treat you like that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
I think that's an example of manifestation. You had two people tell you things that made you feel afraid and scared and like you're not good enough and like you made a mistake or you did something wrong. And that's very similar to the way you described you feel about your mother.
Mm-hmm.
So this energy, not to say that it's your fault, but that is how it is being created. Because your blocks and your inability to deal with your mother are making you a vibrational match to people like her. And so these people are telling you the same things. And so at some point, you're going to have to pay attention and say, okay, that feels the same way that it feels with my mother. This person is not helping me. This person is not my friend, so to speak, because I want to be surrounded by people who lift me up, not who keep me at the same or even push me down. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So we exist together, and their information is coming from them. That's where they're at. These people who feel like it's okay to tell you that based on astrology, your life is over. That's on them to be that kind of person who gives that kind of information. That says a lot, which you could go into, but the way that you created that relationship with them is because that's the same thing your mother does. And so you have to deal with the feelings that you have about her that make you think that that's okay, that's acceptable. And once you deal with that kind of thing, you'll see these kind of people a mile away, and you'll be like, you won't even interact with them anymore. They won't even they will stay away from you, and you will stay away from them without even thinking about it. It's a vibrational choice. You know what I mean? Like, this is happening because you're swimming in the same frequency, and you want out.
Yes.
So if you want out, you have to look at the original wound, which is your mother, and deal with that. And, you don't have to tell her anything. If you already know that by telling her that she was harmful to you, that she's not going to accept it, then you just write her a letter and never send it. But you have to say it to yourself or to a friend, or, you have to get it out. You have to put it out there and see it for yourself so that you can mirror it back to yourself and you can let it go. So that the next time, or maybe even cut her off. Do you know what I mean? I'm not telling you to leave people out of your life, but if it ends up being that way, that you cannot have her as part of your life at all, you don't even have to say anything. You just stop picking up the phone. You don't accept the calls. And she says, hey, what's wrong with you? You'd be like, oh, sorry, I've been busy. And you just pretend like everything's okay. But in yourself, you've set a boundary. I am never going to deal with you again. You are never going to have access to me. I'm never going to let you affect my feelings ever again. And the farther away you get from her vibration, the better your life will be. And the fewer of the same image, same faces, and same energies you're going to receive. You'll start leveling up when it comes to friendships and relationships. But if you're looking for friendships and relationships, when you haven't dealt with that energy, you're going to get the same repeat over and over again. That's just how it works. Yeah, well, what I would say about that is you feel guilty. Like, you don't want to cut someone off who was 50-50, like she helped you half the time and the other half of the time it was abusive.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's understandable that you might feel guilty because, especially if you're a good person and you want to see the best in everybody, you're going to cling to the good things. And that's actually a thing in psychology. It's called like narcissistic something, We cling to the moments that they were nice to us or that they were beneficial to us, and we try to ignore all the bad things that they did. But you can't do that. That's not healthy. You have to look at them both equally. And then when you do that, you may see that the only reason why they did anything nice wasn't really for you. It was because they were manipulating or whatever. And everybody's different, so each individual relationship is you're going to have to look at it honestly. But contractually, as a soul, if let's say you hire somebody to do a job and you make an agreement, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then once we're done, we're going to separate, then there's no harm done. There's no feelings about it. Like, just because this person is a close family member doesn't mean you owe them anything. You don't owe them servitude for the rest of your life. You have an agreement as a soul. We're going to have this type of experience, and at the end of the contract, we're going to be done. And we're going to move on. We're going to shake hands and go our separate ways. Good luck, good luck. I don't owe you anything. We're even. We're even. So if you're reaching this point in your life with your relationship with this person, and you see that, yeah, some of the things that they did were beneficial, you can give them credit for that. But you also have to give them, they also have to take responsibility, or you have to give them responsibility, because they may not take responsibility. But by giving them the responsibility in your heart and in your soul and in your mind, you are free to balance out the guilt you might feel for continuing with them. You know, you have to balance your checkbook. They took this much from you, and they gave this much from you, and you're even. You don't owe them anything. Yeah? It's not easy, but it's worth it. And you're strong enough, or else you wouldn't have chosen it. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes,
any
yes.
feelings that are starting to come up, take them with you and let them out. Write your book, do your thing, and this is a trigger for the catalyst to let the energy flow freely.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, think of it as getting sober. You know, those of us that have addictions, we stop smoking, we stop drinking, and then we start counting days since we participated in that addictive behavior. You know, so when it comes to this relationship, maybe get a little app that says days clean or days since, you know, count down. Start saying, this is the last time I texted my mom. This is the last time I had the urge to call her. Or no, you know, let's say you have this experience, you know, you want to call your mom and tell her you're proud of yourself. Don't do it. And write down on your phone or something, this, I didn't do it, you know. And then see how many days it's been. It's been 5 days since I picked up the phone, since I gave in to the urge to use that drug. So you filled your cup nice and full, you felt good, and because you are still a narcissistic supply for her, you felt this thought form, which is, it's an energetic cord. You have a cord with her, right? And it tells you, oh, you feel good, let's give that to your mother. So you call her in your mind, hoping that it'll keep the feeding up, right? But no, you just gave it all to her. She took it from you.
Yes, she took it from me.
Yeah, so you have to know that. That's a drug. Do you want to be hooked on that? Because you are hooked on that. And the only way to get off is next time you have the thought, you say, no, maybe later. And then you start like feeding into that thought. And the way to cut cords with people, in my opinion, there's a lot of different ways. Everybody has their own method. And what I do is I just send love without calling. I'll stop and I'll pray and I'll send love to that person and peace and freedom, and I'll send them all the things that I want for myself. Freedom is a big one, you know, acceptance. And I just send that through the cord, and I'll wait until that moment passes, not calling them, do not reach out and call them, and then go about your business. And then it'll come up again. The urge will come again. That cord will want to be fed. It's like an umbilical cord. And then you stop and you just pray and you send freedom and acceptance through the cord, and you don't make contact. And eventually something will happen. People can feel it when you stop feeding them. And they'll call you and say, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And they'll try to tell you that you're not okay. And that's when you can see, oh, you know what? I was here minding my own business, being happy, and I haven't been feeding you, and now you're calling me for a feeding. And so then you can, depending on your situation, you could just like play it cool and say, yeah, no, everything's great, thank you. Hey, I was sorry, I was in the middle of something, can I call you later? And then you get off the phone with them and you don't call them back, and you pray and you integrate, because they're going to trigger all the stuff in you. It's going to come up right then. You're going to feel the anger that you need to feel. So it's a process. It's very slow, but with focus you can do it. It's all about focus. You have to accept that this is your enemy. Yeah, I bet if once you start practicing this, not feeding her, if you were ever to be in the same room again, because I'm sure it's very difficult to just go cold turkey with somebody. You don't want to give up on them quickly. You have hope, and you hang on to that hope. Maybe they're not like that. Maybe. So if you do this work of not feeding her for, I don't know, give yourself a time limit, 3 months, 6 months. And when you feel like you're stronger, but you pay attention, if you let that person back in your life and you maintain your focus, you set the intention to see clearly, you will see the truth about their behavior. And all those times that you thought they were so warm and loving and nice, it's all fake. It's a lie. It is nasty. And you will be able to see the evil coming through their face, because they only put on that face because it's societally appropriate to do so, because that's how they get what they want from you. They would not get what they wanted from you if they showed you that they are so nasty. Nasty people don't get the energy feedings from good people like you. They have to manipulate. They have to lie. They have to pretend that there's somebody that they're not, so that you will believe that what they're showing you is true. But once you stop feeding it, this is why they start to wiggle on the other end of the cord, and they start coming in and telling you something's wrong with you to put you back in place. But if you don't let them put you back in place and you get clarity, then you will see right through them, and they know that. Yes, that's true. And you can, and you will. But first you have to do the work here. You know? You cannot run away. First you have to build yourself up. And then the door will open for you. Mm-hmm. And you will leave completely free. If you were to leave now, you would still wonder if there's the cord would follow you, and you would still have the connection. But now if you're here, you can deal with it. You will be able to leave freely. If you were to leave now, you would wonder if it was really that bad. And you wouldn't be sure. And so she'd come to, and you would, it'd be a lot more, it's much, if anything, astrologically speaking, maybe it would have been easier earlier, but it's better to do it now than wait any longer. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
Like, don't run from it. Mm-hmm. Just do it.
Yes.
I feel like I'm treading into karmic territory, so I can't tell you much more about how to do it, but I can tell you that if you do it, you will get free. If you try to get free before you do it, you will still be enslaved, and probably even more so. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sometimes relocating is not the answer. Sometimes you have to stay put and do the hard thing, and then you can be relocated when the time comes. Mm-hmm. And then it's much easier and much more enjoyable. And I will tell you, when it comes to relationships, don't worry about it right now, because right now you bring a lot of baggage to the table. Yeah, it's an incubus. It's called an incubus.
And what this means?
It's a very sexual entity. Well, honestly, if you don't deal with your like where you're at right now, you're not going to bring in the right person for you. Yes, there is somebody out there for you, but you have to bring yourself out of some of this negativity in order to manifest it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have to focus on self-love and writing down, like you could make a list of all the perfect things a partner would be, and then start being that yourself. Because if you're susceptible to incubus entities, then you probably are attracting people who also are susceptible to incubus entities, and that does not help you to become unified with somebody who's pure. Mm-hmm. Like your soul is pure. You just have a lot of baggage that you're bringing, and you have to be aware of that, because as long as you're acting out of your trauma or your baggage, you're going to continue magnetizing people to you that also have the same kinds of bad, so that it won't be fun or enjoyable. It'll be a learning experience, but it won't be the one. Yeah, and you can have it. You just have to keep focused. Don't look out there. Keep looking in here. The one will show up, and you yeah. And that's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
None of these are really a vibrational match to your better self,
Mm-hmm.
only to your incubus. You notice they all have the similar look. I wish I have to be honest with you,
Yes.
but it depends on what do you want? Do you know what I mean? What kind of experience do you want to have? Because if you want to have a really divine experience, you have to wait and focus on yourself. This is another addiction. And also just remember, every person that you get intimate with, even if it's not intercourse, you're co-creating with the individual. So even if you're not physical, your emotions are co-creating a reality with the person. And at the place where you are right now, you're going to co-create more suffering for yourself. That is an addiction that comes from your blocks. Yeah, that's how harmful. That is so harmful that anyone would give you that kind of information. That is very limiting and negative with a capital N. Because it's controlling you, it's influencing your ability to create a good life for yourself. Because now you're afraid, and so you're jumping into this cesspool. Well, at this point, you have free will. I don't have anything new to tell you.